Hi, how are you today? In this video I'm going to show you how you can use a roll of 35mm film in a camera that's intended to take 120 medium format film. Now as you can see right here I have the Diana F+, which is a really fun plastic camera. Some would call it a toy camera. I don't know about that, but anyway, it's a plastic camera that can really give you some very interesting results. Now I'm going to show you how to use a 35mm roll of film in this camera. Now as you can see, everything you need is here, and the back of the camera I've taken off and I've set it back here. And basically all you need is your camera. You'll need your roll of 35mm film, and for this demonstration I'm using a roll of film, but this roll of film has already been developed. Basically what happened is I ran it through a camera that was faulty, and I didn't know this, but basically the film wasn't being exposed. So basically I ran a whole roll of film through that camera, and when I developed it, it became very obvious to me that every time I thought I was taking a shot, the shutter actually wasn't opening. So I'm going to be using this, basically this tainted roll of film in this demonstration. And basically all you'll need is your roll of film, you'll need a couple of rolls of cotton batten, and you'll need a spool. And as you can see what I've done here, on this spool I've put some, I've taken a couple of elastics, and I put an elastic at the top and an elastic at the bottom. And really the only reason why I did that is to make it more able to take a roll of 35mm film. This is going to be the take-up spool in the camera. And as I advance the film, basically by putting the elastic bands at the top and the bottom, it's going to keep the film nice and aligned in the middle of the spool, like so. And we will also need some Scotch tape. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to lay my 35mm film in the camera like so, and the film goes across like that. And the reason why I have the cotton balls, it's basically just to keep the spool from moving around too much. And okay, so I have my 35mm film in there, and I have a cotton ball up here and a cotton ball down there, and the cotton batten will hold the film canister in place. It won't be shaking around, it won't be moving around too much as you're out taking photos, but it's not so tight that it's going to keep the film from being pulled out of the canister. Okay, now I'm going to take my take-up spool, as I said, with the two pieces of elastic on it, and I'm going to put it over here in the take-up space. And I'm just going to advance it just to make sure that it is actually advancing. Okay, and then I'm going to take one little piece of Scotch tape and basically tape the end of the film to the spool. So as you can see, I've stuck a little piece of tape to the end of the film, and I'm going to attach that to the take-up spool. Okay, and then I'm going to advance the film just to make sure it's nice and taut. Okay, and that's it. So as you can see, I'm pretty much ready to roll. I'm pretty much ready to take photos with this camera on 35mm film, because as you can see, it's being fed onto the take-up spool. When I pull it like that, the film is advancing. Okay, and then of course I'd want to put the back onto the camera. And we're pretty much ready to roll. Just a couple of more very important things that I want to mention to you. Now that I've got this camera loaded up with 35mm film, there's two or three very important things that I have to keep in mind. First of all, I have a little window on the back here, okay? And again, this camera is intended to be used with 120 medium format film. And as I'm sure many of you know, on the back of 120 medium format film, there's a protective paper, so the film won't get exposed as it's going through the camera, especially when it's going by this window where you see the numbers on the back of the paper of the film. With 35mm, it doesn't work like that. There is no protective paper. So I have to be very careful, and I have to put some black electrical tape both on the outside and on the inside of the camera to make sure no light gets in and exposes the 35mm film. So again, just a piece of black electrical tape on the back there and another piece on the inside, on the other side of the window. Now also another thing, because I'm using 35mm and not 120, again, I don't have those numbers passing by the window. So how do I know how far do I have to turn the film advance wheel until I know when I'm at the next image? Very simple. I did some trial and error with this camera, and I figured out that every time I take a shot, I have to turn the camera 1 1/4 revolutions. And as you can see, with a little marker, I put a little mark right there on the top. And I also have a little mark on the camera body over there. So I'm going to turn the wheel until the mark on the film advance wheel and the mark on the camera body are aligned, just like so. So let's pretend I've just taken a photo, like so, and I'm going to advance it 1 1/4 turns. So 1 and roughly about a 1/4 turn, and that should be ready to take the next photo. Now, this isn't a perfect science, and of course this is a very sort of guerrilla style of photography, very DIY. You could almost call it sort of punk photography. So I'm sure many of you out there who like to take very, fancy portraiture, and maybe you work with the most top-of-the-line cameras and you would never ever think about using a Lomography camera. That's fine. This is probably not something that would appeal to folks like yourself. But if you're like me, if you like to play around with plastic toy cameras and you like to experiment, this is definitely a fun thing for you to do. And again, the 1 1/4 rule that I've come up with through trial and error, it's not exact. You're probably still going to have a little bit of overlap between one exposure and the next. But hey, that's why a lot of us love to use these sort of plastic cheap cameras, because you have a lot of happy accidents that can be really a lot of fun. Also, another thing I will mention, I had mentioned about putting some black electrical tape on the window, on the back door. You should also put some black electrical tape around the seams, the 4 seams of the entire back door. Okay? So again, you want to put a piece of tape here over this seam, this seam here, and here on the 4 sides of the doors. Again, just another way to prevent light leaks. So that's my little camera hack that I wanted to share with you. Thank you for watching. I hope you try this, and if you do, let me know how it went. I wish you every success. I hope you have happy shooting and you go out and take some awesome photos. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. I post new tech-related reviews every week, and it won't cost you anything. There's no obligation on your behalf, but every time someone subscribes, it really helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.